The big July 4th holiday is here. Tens of thousands of locals and vacationers alike will flock to the waters of Virginia Beach tomorrow. It takes a lot to deal with a crowd that large and to keep everyone safe. Tonight, 13 News Now reporter Chanu Hur looks at how the city, police, and businesses are getting ready. He's live at the oceanfront tonight. Chanu.
Well, David, police are estimating about 100,000 people will be here for the holiday weekend. Now, that means a packed beach and also a big safety plan for this area. But one thing police is really stressing to people who will be here this weekend is please do not drink and drive.
There you go. See, you guys, aren't you lucky?
Even if you didn't want to pop into Ocean Eddies for the food,
You guys all doing all right?
why not just stop by to see Debbie Lou Haig?
I like the AC. The AC is huge tomorrow.
She's the manager, and she'll pitch you the AC and the menu this 4th of July.
We have a lot of vacationers. We also have a lot of locals that come down here also.
Yep.
Another beer or anything?
Ocean Eddies at the oceanfront is expecting the crowds. And so is the rest of the beach. From lifeguards to police, everyone's doing their part to help keep security a high priority Wednesday. Of course, one of the biggest things Virginia Beach police is stressing as far as safety goes is, for whatever reason, do not drink and drive. Beach police says every 51 minutes, someone in the country dies from alcohol-impaired crashes. That's why all up and down the oceanfront, police will have extra officers and checkpoints to make sure everyone is safe.
One more PBR, yep.
We also have, our waitresses are trained, know what to do. They talk to the bartender, they talk to the manager. But we've also called, we've called Ubers for people, and there is public transportation.
If you walk into Ocean Eddies, Debbie Lou and her staff, they'll take care of you. But in the bigger scheme of things,
we are pretty careful about that, and we do watch people.
They'll be good to everyone because safety is priority. And of course, to go hand in hand with this, police are reminding people if you are going to be driving this weekend, make sure you wear your seatbelts. Now, as far as the city goes and some of the road plans, the city is warning the last exit on 264 East headed to the oceanfront will be closed on Wednesday night. That's tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. You'll have to use other routes to get into the resort area. I do have links to the road plans as well as the safety plans on my Facebook if you want to go over there and take a look. Live in Virginia Beach, Chanu Hur, 13 News Now.
Warning if you're headed to the beach with your kids, all it takes is 1 second. So far this season at the oceanfront, lifeguards say they've gotten 400 reports of children missing from their parents. And tomorrow, lifeguards expect up to 200 reports in just one day.
It's going to be so crowded and these kids get lost so fast that you just got to watch them all times. Know the street because they're all numbered numerically, and if you know the streets you're on, it's a lot easier to find your people.
Another safety measure are these brightly colored wristbands for children. It has the name of your hotel as well as space for your phone number. More information on the bands, you'll get that at 13newsnow.com. Just in time for the holiday, a new life-saving vehicle is rolling into Virginia Beach. Emergency officials took us for a spin in their new medical cart. The $50,000 vehicle is basically a mini ambulance, but it can carry several people and has all-wheel drive so it can travel on grass and other difficult terrain. Tomorrow is the first big test in the heat. Mother Nature on a lot of minds tonight ahead of the July 4th holiday. Downtown Norfolk and Cinder Center all lit up this evening. Tomorrow we should finally crack this heat wave, but barely, right, Evan?
That's right. Today is the 4th day that we had temperatures at or above 90 degrees. We hit 91. Of course, our normal high is 87, so a little bit above normal, and that's what I'm forecasting for a high temperature tomorrow. So we will see those readings come down just a little bit. Let's take a live sky view again. Clear skies right now and temperatures coming in the low 80s and a lot of 70s showing up once you move inland away from the water. But it's not just the heat, it's that humidity. So when you factor that in, it still feels like it's 89 degrees outside. That's the current heat index. It feels like the mid-70s back inland for Wakefield and Franklin. What can you expect as we go through the day tomorrow? Well, not quite as hot as what we saw today. I mentioned that we're forecasting a high of 87 degrees. Notice that heat index around 3 o'clock up around 95, so not into the 100s like we saw today. And notice just a 20% chance of an isolated shower. I think there'll be 1 or 2 that try to pop up in the area, and hopefully they'll clear out just in time for the fireworks, the big display at 9:30 at Town Point Park, forecasting a temperature of 81 degrees under partly cloudy skies, muggy and warm conditions. Now, when I come back, I'll have much more on the forecast, time things out with Futurecast, talk about some cooler temperatures possibly this weekend. David?
Evan, thank you. Two quick reminders about fireworks. First, loud noises can spook cats and dogs. Animal experts say keep them inside and make sure they can't get through doors and windows. Also, make sure their microchip ID tags are up to date. That's just in case they might get out. And for some veterans, the flashing and pops of fireworks can trigger traumatic memories and stress. The VA estimates 1 in 5 vets who served in Iraq and Afghanistan live with post-traumatic stress disorder. As many as 30% of Vietnam vets also live with PTSD. We've got everything you need to know about the 4th of July, from traffic alerts to celebrations. Check out the 13 News Now app or 13newsnow.com. When you have miles of sandy beaches, tourists are going to come, but Virginia Beach is still trying to figure out how to handle all their visitors. Tonight, there was a heated discussion at City Hall regarding how to regulate short-term rentals like Airbnb. 13 News Now reporter Robert Boyd was there.
Virginia Beach City Council decided to hold off on making a vote regarding the future of short-term rentals in the city, but I can tell you both sides of this issue are very passionate. As you scroll through Airbnb, you'll find everything from mansions to bedrooms for rent in Virginia Beach, but many residents who live here permanently don't like it.
We did not buy our family homes in this beautiful, safe, peaceful residential neighborhood to have a mini hotel on our street.
Residents say these short-term renters, who sometimes stay for as little as one night, are ruining their neighborhoods with trash, traffic, and loud parties.
And it should be one family, 52 weeks a year, not 52 families for 1 week each.
In order to reduce these concerns, the city is looking at a number of ways to regulate short-term rentals, including restrictions on occupancy, noise control, and parking requirements. But for some, that still isn't good enough.
It is something big, and it could turn our whole city into something that we really, a city of strangers rather than neighbors.
But there is a whole other group of residents who say they depend on short-term rentals.
It's helped me make my ends meet with my financial needs, to take care of my family.
Those in favor of short-term rentals say when you choose to live by the beach, you just have to accept that tourists are part of the deal, and that should be a positive, not a negative.
We hear a lot of stories of where it sounds like rock stars come to Virginia Beach and party like crazy. I'll be honest with you, 99.9% of the people we get here are families. Come here to Virginia Beach to enjoy the atmosphere of the beach.
No date was given as to when this issue will come back before City Council. In Virginia Beach, Robert Boyd, 13 News Now.
The new law in Virginia is expected to help thousands deal with pain. Cannabis oil is now available to treat patients. It officially became legal this week. The Virginia Beach lawmaker who helped push this through spoke to City Council today about what it means for the city and our state. Delegate Glenn Davis explained the next steps. 5 facilities will open, one of which is in Hampton Roads.
That facility will be authorized to grow the plant, extract the oil, and provide the oil. They will not be allowed to have a doctor on site to prescribe it.
Davis stresses that while ordinary possession of cannabis oil is illegal, the law allows some, with a doctor's recommendation, to not get in trouble. New at 11, Norfolk State University has started its search for the school's 7th president. A 21-member search committee is holding open sessions so the public can voice their thoughts on the search. Comments and nominations can also be made on the school's website. Melvin Stith was named interim president in November after Eddie Moore Jr. retired in December. 3 months after Farm Fresh shut its doors, folks in Ocean View are getting a new grocery store. Harris Teeter announced it's moving to the old building, but you will have to wait. The chain will not open until next summer. In the meantime, the company is offering a grocery delivery service from the Harris Teeter on Granby Street through the app Shipt. It's available within a 20-mile radius of that store. Hundreds of dead fish wash ashore in Hampton. Turns out they were dumped on purpose by fishermen. The messy scene was spread out along Buckrow Beach and in the waters off of Fort Monroe today. Hampton's Parks and Rec staff is now working with other departments to clean up the dead fish. Virginia Marine Police now looking into the fish dump. Officials at the Virginia Aquarium are investigating how a dolphin died after it washed up on Chicks Beach today. The Stranding Response Marine Animal Care Center is looking into this. They tell us there is no early indication that the dolphin suffered trauma or disease, but they need to do a full necropsy to know for sure. We'll update you on this story just as soon as we learn more.